All right, so we are into the next section. We're into 3.3. If you haven't watched 3.2, you'll want to do that. Today we're going to talk about this interaction between different sets in here. So I've already kind of penciled this all in. While I'm talking, you can jot these down. You'll need 10 squares. Each one of them has an intersecting union with this, because I'm going to be filling in something with each of these. So what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to look at some terminology intermixed with some symbols and kind of give you a sense of this. Yusuf, you with me? Thank you. So I'm going to be shading in each of the sections that are represented underneath here, just so we can get a sense as to what represents what in terms of a Venn diagram. So for instance, let's start off with something easy. If I wanted to indicate what section in this whole diagram is A, what would I be looking at? If I were to color in the section that is A in this diagram, what would it look like? Everything that's in this circle that is A, anything is here is all A. So you can fill it in as much as you want. That's A. If I were to look at just B, I'm assuming it's still the same A, B. I'm just not going to do it each time. So this is B. So anything in this circle, whether it includes only B or A as well, this is section B. Do you remember what it means if it has this little apostrophe-like thing beside it? No, we're going to get to the in-between part. No, this does not mean only. This is your the complement. So essentially what this means is not A. So I want to highlight everything in this that is not A. So if this is A, all the rest of it is not A. So that's anything that's outside this circle, including B. So all of this is not A. So this is how you can kind of picture it. So we can do the same thing, not B. So if this is B, I'm looking for what's not B. Again, that's everything outside the B circle. And this is going to help us when we get word problems when I tell you there's 12 students that are not taking physics. Well, that's everything that's outside the physics bubble. Or there's 2 numbers that are not divisible by 5. So you need to know what that is. Next, we've got this. So this is something that you have not seen before, this kind of a U shape. And this is referring to a union. So U for union. This just means A or B. So if I write this out, this is the same as saying A or B. We saw this in the notes yesterday, if you watched that. Or I think in the first day we saw a little bit. So A or B can mean 3 things. A and only A, B and only B, or B and A. So this or, the union, is anything that is only A, or a combination of both, or just B. So anything in these two is called the union of 2 sets, or A or B. Nope, because that refers to A. There's something else we're going to talk about that's just the A region. We're going to get there. So this means A or B. Let's look at this down here. So this is the complement. Notice it's A or B, not. So it's not A and it's not B. So if up there we've got A or B, if I want the composite of that, it's everything that's not highlighted there. So it's everything that is outside these circles. Again, this is just the concept. We'll look at what this looks like with an example later on. Next one, this is the one you're familiar with. This one's this is called an intersection. It's A and B. So if it's like this, it looks like an A for and. That's how you can remember this. So this means A and B. That one you know. Sounds pretty straightforward. It's just this center region there. So notice the difference between A or B, A and B. So whether it's an and or an or makes a huge difference in this case. Now if I want the complement of that, same thing. If this is A and B, everything outside of that is not A and B. So all of this stuff that's on the outside here, except that center region, would be not A and B. Like I said, I'm going to do some other examples that are more concrete, and you'll be able to see where it comes from. Which one, sorry? Okay. This next one is the one that you were talking about, where it's only something. So this, with your little dash here, this means A, not B. So this means I want all the A values that are not also B. So that is, here's A, but I don't want that middle section. So this is the same as saying only A, at least in this case. Same thing here. Yeah, so this is B, not A, which is just this region here, not the center. Yes. Yes, you may. So we are going to use these exclusively with the examples. You need to know the notation, because on a test, I'm going to ask you to talk about A prime. What are the number of elements that are A prime? And you'll need to know what that means. Or I'll say, what's the number of elements in this? A with the upside down U and a B. I will ask you what's the number in that set. So I'm not going to specifically test you on what these are, but you'll need to recognize the difference between them. Actually, if I remember correctly, there might be a matching question with this. I'll need to look at mine. Before the test, I'll tell you what's coming on the test. Of matching? I've given you basically all the questions that are coming on the test. Because they're in the textbook questions. This is why I said to write it before. So you could write it with me. So something that we're going to use a fair amount. Are you done the first row? Okay, then I'll keep it here for now. Something we're going to use a fair amount is talking about a deck of cards. So if you're not familiar with a deck of cards where you're dealing with clubs, spades, hearts, diamonds, if you're not familiar with this, don't worry, I'm not going to teach you any card games or anything like that, or how to do a magic trick or something like that. All we're going to care about is talking about this, because this is a fairly common thing that you'll see in the textbook. So if you don't know a deck of cards, for your test, I'm going to have a printed version of the whole deck of cards. So if you're not familiar with this, if you have not ever dealt with a deck of cards, it's okay. You'll have it on the formula sheet. Because here it's different. Somehow here cards aren't as normal as North America. You talk about a deck of cards in North America, people know exactly what you mean. Isn't necessarily a good thing. Okay, so what we're going to do for this is we're going to talk about what each of these sets represents and the number that are in each of these. So let's talk about what each of these things are. So we're drawing a card from a standard deck of cards. There's 52 cards in a deck. There's 13 clubs, 13 spades, 13 hearts, 13 diamonds. You've got the numbers 2 up to 10, a jack, king, queen, and an ace. If that made absolutely no sense, don't worry about it. But we're going to need to figure out what these are. So U is going to be our universal set in this case. So this is going to be, I'll go back to blue. If I'm going to describe this set and what this represents, this is drawing any one of the cards. So I'll write this a little bit fancier. So by drawing, I just mean picking a card. So drawing a card from a deck of 22. Or sorry, 52. So the number that's in this set, I've got 52 different cards, so the number is 52. Is there anyone here knows deck of cards, understands the different suits? Or this is completely oblivious to everything? Makes sense? Everyone here's handled a deck of cards? Has everyone handled a deck of cards here before? Good. You know which suit is what color?
The diamond red.
Diamond red, heart, red, spade, black, club, black. Good. So, and then each of these, so S represents drawing. I'll use picking instead of drawing. So picking a spade, that should be an A, not an S. And how many spades are in a deck of cards? Close. 13. So I've got the numbers. I've got 2 from a deck of 52. So that one's picking a spade. I'm going to simplify this. Picking a heart. This one is picking a club. These, just notate it's the same as above. So it's all picking a, and then this one's a diamond. And each of these has just 13. So 13 times 4 gives you 52. So these are the different sets. When you pick a card from a deck of cards, you're either going to pick a spade, a heart, a club, or a diamond. So those are the options that you've got. And to give you kind of a hint as to where this chapter is leading, Because after we do this whole chapter of sorting, the next chapter is about taking this and now looking at the probability of doing this. So you've seen probability before. We're just looking at it a little bit more complicated. So after we're done this chapter, don't think we're done with it. It's going to move on.
So which chapter is easier, this one or this one?
You mean chapter 2?
Yes.
So it depends on what you like better. Some people like chapter 2 better, and they find it easier. Some find this much easier. It all depends on the person. This one you need to think a little bit more. So if we're looking at the union of S and H, so meaning this S, U, H, which is just the union. So if we're going to look at the union of those, so here's my S's, which means picking a spade. Here's my H's, which is picking a heart. So if I'm looking at this or this, it means I'm picking out of a deck of cards either a spade or a heart. So this union, which we'll say S, U, H, this set now refers to picking a spade or a heart. And how many elements are going to be in this set? 26. Because I can either pick a spade or I can pick a heart. So again, using proper notation, N, S union H, so the number of elements in equals 26. And if you don't know where this came from, this is just the number in S plus number in H. Again, number in S just comes from here, number in H comes from here as well. Any questions on this?
No.
Okay. So now let's look at the intersection. So union, again the U, intersect means S and H. So if I were to define what S and H are, what would this be? Here I define picking a spade or a heart. Spade and a heart. Good. So we want to look at the set of picking a spade and a heart.
So what if you need?
Pardon me?
What's the number?
Well, how many cards are a spade and a heart? There's 26 spade hearts.
No,
There's no cards that are both spades and hearts. It's one or the other. So in this case, this is an empty set. So the number of cards that are both a spade and a heart is just 0. So here would be an example of an empty set. So because of that, we need to look at, are these events mutually exclusive? Do you remember what mutually exclusive means? Yusuf, put it away, please. You should be paying attention to me, not on your phone. Do you remember what mutually exclusive means? So if something is exclusive, exclusive means it's only certain members that can be a part of it. So if S and H are mutually exclusive, it means these two events cannot occur at the same time. So can S and H occur at the same time? Right now, at this very instant, in the middle of me teaching?
Going to the bus at
Once I'm done the lesson, you can go and, yeah, I won't take the whole class. So these are mutually exclusive, right? Because you cannot pick one card that is a spade and a heart. So they are mutually exclusive. So they are mutually exclusive because no cards are both a spade and a heart. So because they're mutually exclusive, they're also disjoint. Because of this, it's also disjoint. So they kind of have a similar definition. If something is mutually exclusive, they're going to be disjoint. Again, disjoint just means no elements occur in both of those at the same time. So one last thing with this. So if we want to define the complement of S or H, so we want this, but the complement form of this, what would be everything that's not a spade or a heart? Diamond and club. So if I take away all the spades and hearts, I'm left with diamonds or clubs. So this would be picking what's left. So picking a club or a diamond. Yep. So the number in this set is going to be 26. Again, where did this come from? How do I? Yeah, so I'll just say it's the number of clubs plus the number of diamonds. You know, on a test, if you just indicated somewhere where the 26 came from, so either do this or say 13 plus 13. Like either show me the numbers you add or show me the equation. Either one. D. This one's C, this one's D. Clubs, diamonds. Any questions on that? I got one more page, then I'm done. So we want to sort out all these sports into two categories. We want to talk about using whether they use a ball in the sport or they use an implement. And they said implement to mean things such as a stick or a club or a racket, something you use in your hands to hit something else. So we are going to first organize these. So let's make a thing like this. I'm going to make these circles really wide so I can write things in here. So something like this. So we're going to say here is talking about the sports that include a ball and the sports that include an implement, and let's just call this whole thing the universal set. Yep, exactly. So let's go through and put these. So badminton has a racket, but not a ball, so that just goes over here.
So I should write them, write
No, because I also have basketball in here. If you want to short form it and do bad or something, the first three letters, that's fine. Lacrosse. I don't know if you know what lacrosse is. Um, it has a ball, and you have a stick that you kind of catch that has something to catch it. So let's put lacrosse in the middle. I'm going to short form it. Volleyball just has a ball. Put that here for volleyball. Football just has a ball. Hockey has a stick, and a puck. So I'll put hockey here. Ultimate, this is just like using a frisbee. So this one's neither. This one goes outside. Curling. Yeah, there's an implement with this. They aren't really hitting something, but we'll still put it here. That should be CUR. Curling. American football, we'll call it a ball. When I first started teaching this, I had the note say football and soccer. It's way too confusing. So we have the proper names for it.
Tennis ball.
Yeah, tennis is both. Rugby has a ball. Wrestling has neither. Golf has both. Basketball has a ball. Cross country, both of these running and skiing. Neither, so cross country running, cross country skiing, and softball, both. I'll put SB for softball. It's kind of like baseball, but with a ball, it's not soft. Okay, so this is how we sort them. Okay, so when you're dealing with stuff that is a little bit more familiar with you, it'll be easier to put them in instead of just talking about numbers or stuff like that. But now that we've got this, we can solve some easy questions. So we want to know what's the number of items that only use a ball. Well, look at your... So the number in the ball are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, just to show you the notation, so that when you see it later on, you can come back to this. Sorry, I didn't write this out correctly. It should be number of ball, not implement. It's the ball only. So this was equal to the number that used balls minus the number that is a ball and an implement. Just for reference sake, when you come back to it, because maybe it's not as obvious as having a diagram here. Any questions with this? Or that's good. So let's try this again. So number that's implement, but not a ball. So again, we can look at our diagram, and how many do we got? How many have an implement, but not a ball? 3. Badminton, hockey, curling. Again, to see where it comes from, it's from the number of...
Write this like how it comes from?
Yes, please write this down just for future reference. No, if you have it shown here, I see where your work is. You've put all the effort into sorting it. I can see from your diagram it's only 3. So this is just for your notes so that later on, if there's a case where you don't have something like this, or you want to show it where it comes out, put this. Because then you can now see and get familiar with the terminology and how you write stuff out. So on a test, no, you don't have to write that. I just want you to see the notation a lot. So in this one, either a ball or an implement. So if it's or, it means it can be either. It's not both, it's either.
So the number we shouldn't do like 5 plus 3.
No. Not 5 plus 3. So the number in B or, not A, it's I. This can be anything that's in B or anything that's in I. So this is everything that's included in the circles. Yeah, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Again, for future reference, this is the number in B plus the number in I minus the number in B and I. This is going to be such an important equation, it's got its own special box down below. Because you're going to see this equation a lot. So this last one, neither a ball nor an implement. So this is the complement of what we just did. The B or I not is going to be the 4 that we have outside here. Yep. And again, what does this equation look like? Number in the universal set minus the number that's in B or I.
So we can only divide only 4, right?
Yep. If you have a diagram and I can clearly see the numbers that are there, just put the answer. You've already done the work.
And then only 4?
Just 4. Well, what I might ask you, instead of giving you this, I might not give you this, and I'll just say, what is this?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't just write out the number, because maybe I don't say it in words, I just write the equation. So you need to be...
Now we're able to write all the numbers.
Yeah. So this is something special. Like I said, if I'm doing OR. So this is so special, it has its own box, and it's got its own name. It's called Principle of Inclusion and Exclusion. So if I want to look at this intersection, this is a very fancy equation that I can use. So, and I talked about it either in the first lesson with you guys or in the second with the other. I don't remember who I talked about it with. But essentially, when you just add your two circles, you're adding that middle region twice. So when we're dealing here with both sets, let's take a look at this. So if I've got two circles here, I've got A and I've got B, and I tell you what those are. If I did A plus B, which is this whole thing, notice here, this center region is counted twice. Because I've counted it here with the A's, and I've counted it here with the B's. So this is why you get extra if you just add those up. And that's why we need to minus that middle region. Because I've added it here, and I've added it here. This is the nice picture way of just representing what this equation is. So if I wanted to get the number of a union between A and B, I'm just going to take the number in A plus the number in B and minus the A and B. This is given on your formula sheet, because you will use this many, many times. But this, oh no, this works all the time. But notice, if I have this case where I've got A and B are disjoint, so something like this, if I use that same equation, when I minus the intersection between them, it's non-existent. So in this case, if they're disjoint, so it's a special case, then the number in A or B is just simply equal to the number in A plus the number in B, and you don't have that last part. So it all depends on your situation. So that's this set of notes. There's one thing I need to correct in here. This is the wrong page. It's not 160, it should be 172, so that you're not doing the wrong numbers for this. At this point, we're done half the chapter. We've covered the first 3 sections. There's 6 in total. So you should, in theory, be caught up with all your practice problems. Tomorrow is already the mid-chapter quiz. That one's up on the schedule because we're halfway through. No, you can just show it to me when you come back. Like, same with all the other quizzes, it's not exactly due on that day. You can submit it up into the review mark. Yeah, it's the completion mark. You just need to finish it. So, and then on Thursday, I mean, you guys aren't here tomorrow or Thursday. Thursday's just a review block, or not a review block, it's a work block to try and catch up on this. Because
So they won't take another.
they're not taking anything new over the next 2 days. So everything that you're doing over the break, I'm not assigning you anything extra. You just need to make sure you're caught up on the first 3 sections. Yeah. And the homework, and do the mid-chapter quiz.